straggle in. We hope they won't interrupt our filming. And we're now putting up a sign that says "Filming in Progress." See how official this is getting? It's wonderful. Thank you for coming. Thank you to our guests, especially. One little note, just a reminder: we are not supposed to stack the chairs up when we are done. We're not going to do that because the youth group is going to use them. So they asked us just to leave the chairs where they are. So we have with us this morning Greg Wilson, and he gave me a little, like, 2-minute bio to share with you. So this is interesting. He's from the Board region, and if anybody doesn't know where the Board region is, it's the region between Canada and the U.S. along the St. Lawrence River. So he calls himself Canadian, and Canada and America are both home to him. Greg joined the U.S. Navy in the early 80s, and he served 6 years in the Navy. After the Navy, he finished his education in California and moved to Moorestown in 1998. He joined FMC in 2010. Now, before he starts, Lisa's going to give a quick intro to our other guests, and then we'll let you get started.
Sure. We're also welcoming Lindy and Claudia, who are sitting here. They're from the Vincenttown United Methodist Church, and they have a whole mission and ministry. It's called Ukraine Trust Chain, and they make these beautiful bracelets, and all the money goes directly to Ukraine, and they're only $5, and that's a really, really good price because the bracelets are beautiful. So they're going to, at the end of Greg's program, they will be sitting at their table and be happy to tell a little story and sell you some bracelets. And they're also at, Mark, you can tell what our connection is with Lindy.
Just my mother-in-law plays organ and leads the choir at Vincenttown Methodist.
We have a lot of connections, this
Yes.
nice small town connections here. So that's Aaron and Mark Talbot. Aaron's mom worships and does all the great music things.
It
that
does
Vincenttown area.
music, unbelievable, at our church.
All right, Greg.
Thank you.
Come on, okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Wow, okay, so one thing, I talk really loud because I worked on a flight deck. If I don't talk loud enough, I can talk louder, okay? You will hear me. The beauty of having a smaller group is that we can have more questions. Normally I have people hold their questions to the end of the show, and so I can get through all the slides, but I will probably be able to do it even if you interrupt me and say, hey, I have a question. So we'll have questions. So again, this is kind of my report on, I went to Ukraine and I volunteered for Jeeps for Peace, and here we go. So who am I? I'm Greg Wilson, joined the church in 2010, and my motivation to going to Ukraine. My motivation stems around this guy right here. He is a missile. He is a KH-22 missile, 33 feet long, 1-ton warhead. Cruising speed is about Mach 2. Terminal phase speed is about Mach 3. This thing was designed back in the 1970s to kill United States carriers. When we did drills on our ship, we did drills with that missile coming inbound to our ship, and we tested our ship against those kind of missiles. And these people, the Russians, shot that missile at an apartment building in Dnipro. And they leveled the building, basically, with that thing. Now, that missile is an antique. It took somewhere between 50 and 70 people to put that missile into the air. Had to be pulled out of a bunker, had to be reprogrammed, had to have a warhead loaded onto it, had to have its control surfaces tested. The bomber crew was 10 people just by themselves. So this was not some random thing that happened. This was actually executed, planned, and everything else. So that was my motivation when I saw this in the news. So I knew I had to do something. I guess I could make a donation, or I could volunteer locally, or I could learn Ukrainian and go to Ukraine. That's what I could do. So that's what I did. I was very upset. My first trip to Ukraine was in July of 2024. It was a test run could I fly there? Could I get across the border? Could I get to, I went to the city of Lviv, and I volunteered, and I did a lot of sightseeing while I was there. My second trip was just past this last October, and I volunteered for Jeeps for Peace, and I went to a city called Chernivtsi, which you'll see where that is in a minute. All right, so on my first trip, I learned that I don't know Ukrainian very well. In fact, I stink at Ukrainian. So I joined a Facebook group, the Ukrainian Learners Group, and this is a wonderful group of teachers of Ukrainian from all over the world. And we talk about how to speak Ukrainian. And while I was in that group, a retired dentist from Wisconsin, his name's Neil Eisner, and he contacted me about a group called Jeeps for Peace. And Jeeps for Peace is a group of people from Edinburgh, Scotland, that drive basically refurbished vehicles from Scotland all the way down to Ukraine. And they do it with volunteers every 3 months. They need somewhere between 70 to 100 people every 3 months to drive these vehicles down to Ukraine. And he called me and he talked to me for about 45 minutes, and after that I said, I'm going to Ukraine again to drive and drive vehicles across Europe. All right, so on the map, this is Edinburgh, way up here. You drive the cars down to Hull, England, and then there's a ferry that actually takes you across the North Sea to Rotterdam. You drive all the way across over Germany and Holland to Cottbus, Germany, and then down here to Radomiro, Poland is the name of that place, and then down here at the very end is Kolomea, Ukraine. And you do that in about 4 days. So here's Ukraine. It's always helpful. Some people, all right, so Ukraine is about the width of Texas. It's 100 miles wider than Texas, 817 miles. This is Lviv right here, and then this is Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. By train, it takes about 9 hours to cross from Lviv to Kyiv, and from Kyiv over to the west or eastern side of Ukraine, another 9 hours. So about 18 hours to cross the country. And then we'll go down. This is Chernivtsi down here, where I went, in Moldova and Romania. Okay. First day of Jeeps for Peace, you literally show up in a parking lot outside of an Edinburgh mall. And you come across this odd group of people that are going to, hey, we're driving cars to Ukraine. And you get to meet everybody, they hand out t-shirts, and you're immediately hooked up with a driving partner. So you don't drive alone, you actually drive with a partner. And that's our group right there, that's me. And my driving partner is this big guy. His name is Ben. He's from Sweden. Big Swedish guy. And this is our ship, the ferry, that will take us across the North Sea. So I always get a lot of questions about the ship. This is the ship, the ferry, quote unquote the ferry. It's a seagoing ferry. It's called the Pride of Rotterdam. And this is the passageway that leads you to your cabins. And then this is the unload of the cars. It actually has a ramp up here, if you can see it. You actually have 2 levels of cars that they load onto the ship. So, on board the ship, it looks like a cruise ship in the front part of it. It has bars and food, and this was our accommodations. I was on a Navy ship, so this is a walk in the park for me. The big Swede guy took the bunk downstairs, and I took the one upstairs. All right, so this is, again, it looks like a darn cruise ship. We have a piano player there, and people are eating and having a good time. The ship pulled away exactly at 8 p.m. that evening. So that was day 1. Day 2. Day 2, we pulled into Rotterdam. And Rotterdam had all these windmills, and let's see, here we go. Let's do this. Beautiful,
How long were you
they're
on
beautiful.
the ferry?
Pardon me?
How long?
1 night, 1 day and 1 night. So it's so funny how people have told me that they didn't think that Rotterdam was very beautiful.
Oh, I thought it was.
It's an industrial port. It is what it is. It looked beautiful when I was there that morning, but. So this is the offload of the vehicles. We're getting off the ferry now. And again, more of the offload, but this is what Holland looks like. It's flat, it's green, and we're flying in this vehicle. This was our first pit stop that we had to make to get gasoline. And it just so happens there was a really cool British road rally happening like 10 miles away. And we had to stop and take pictures of these awesome cars. Again, this is Ben in the back. It was really cool cars. All right, so on the way to Cottbus, we're actually heading to Cottbus, Germany. One of the cars had a flat tire, and we had to stop and help them change the tire. These cars that are bought in Edinburgh are usually on their last leg. They're at auctions because the half-life of a car that we bring is about anywhere from 2 weeks to a month before it gets shot up. So, and this process of them moving the cars from Edinburgh all the way to Scotland happens about every 3 months. They need volunteers every 3 months to drive the cars to Kolomea. All right, so again, where are we? We are here now in Cottbus, Germany. And we crossed over the border the next day, and this guy was so happy to take this selfie with me. He was so happy that I got out of the truck, and he was so happy that I could, take a selfie. That is a Polish border guard. And then again, here's what Poland looks like. Lots of windmills, flat, and it's beautiful rolling fields of wheat, all kinds of, it's a farmland. And then here is our bus stop, or our truck stop. We had to stop again to get gas. And the best food that we ate in Poland was at the truck stop. It was great. This was some kind of stew, and we had chicken. This stuff was great. You pick out what you wanted, and you paid by the weight of the plate, and it was the best food that we had. It was great. All right. Again, this is what Poland looks like from the road, and you're flying by Poland. We're in Radomo now. That's how I pronounce it. This is in Poland. This is our hotel. And we had a huge banquet. Every night they really feed you well on this run. Lots to eat, lots to talk about. These people are from all over the world. We had people from all over the world there to help. And again, where are we? We're right here now in Radomo. And the next day is to go through Ukraine down to Kolomea. All right, so we had to line the cars up at dawn. We had to go through the border as a whole group. Each car takes about a half hour to get through the border, and we have 50 cars.
Oh, wow.
So it was a huge process to get the cars through the border. The biggest problem was that each one of them had to have the documentation. They had to have the VIN number, they had to have the documentation, they had the proof of insurance, everything to bring it into Ukraine. And then here's the border facilities, and this is us actually going through. We had to get out, we had to talk. They did a biometric scan of us. They scanned our face, and they took a handprint of us when we went through, which was a new system that they had just started that day. All right, and then here we are on the other side of the border. This is Ukraine, and this is how they say it in Ukraina is how they say it in Ukraine. And the first thing you notice in Ukraine are the churches. The churches, the churches, and the churches. This is us just driving around, having to stop. I've told Ben to stop like 10 times so I can take pictures of the churches. There are 3 main forms of Catholicism in Ukraine. There's Roman Catholicism, Ukrainian Orthodox, and then Russian Orthodox. And you see, because it's Catholic, you have all of these little Catholic, don't know, Mother Mary Shrine, yeah, there, thank you, shrines, exactly, all over the country. So if you need a blessing on the way to the grocery store, you can get a blessing on the way to the grocery store. It's not a problem. So somewhere along the way, down to Kolomia, we were starving, and we stopped at, this is the Ukrainian equivalent of Wawa. This is Oko, and this says, pick your favorite. Ulubleni means your favorite. And literally, if you look at it, it looks like a Wawa. And then this is the menu. This is hot dog. This is a mini hot dog. And then, of course, up here, this is borscht. And borscht is the national food of Ukraine. You can't get out of Ukraine without having borscht. And it is beet soup. It is a beet stew with all kinds of things in it. All right, now we're in Kolomia. We finally made it to Kolomia, and this is where we're going to drop off the vehicles. This is the town hall, or the what they say in German, the Rathaus. In Ukrainian, it's called the Rathashe. And every town hall has a tower. They were built back in the 1830s, 1820s. They would do proclamations from the tower. They would also usually have a whistle or a gun to set the time. You had to set your time by your watch or at noon every day, and you would usually shoot something or some kind of noise from the tower. Over here. So these are memorials that you'll see all over Ukraine for the soldiers that died. Some of them are local, these actual local soldiers that passed away. Other ones are not. They're part of a effort to communicate the war to the populace. So not every part of Ukraine is, destroyed, and so they want to keep the populace involved in the war, and that's how they do it. All right. We'll do it this way.
Are all 50 vehicles going to the same place?
Yes, and ambulances and all kinds of different vehicles. So this is, when we got to Kolomia, there was a news crew there. And this is actually translated from Ukrainian. And again, there's the Rathaus. And there's Ben, the darling Swede. He couldn't, he had to get interviewed, So, and then this is the interviewed me. And I have to do this because, okay. So Greg, an American, first came to Kolomia with Jeeps for Peace. He lives in Philadelphia and has been learning Ukrainian through Facebook for 2 years. And he speaks quite well. Gosh darn it. So they were being very kind. Okay, they were being very kind. And then this is Laura. Again, she's from the Bay Area, San Francisco. And then this is a good picture. So this guy is an 83-year-old Navy pilot who volunteered to drive across. This guy, he's a wisecracking guy from Ireland who came, and then obviously that's me. But it was quite the reception that they had for us. It was really something.
Greg, what were the boxes that were in the back of the?
Boxes? Oh,
In the
the
car- in
boxes
the Jeep.
are, the boxes are for medical supplies. So this is a wheelchair that's there.
So does
So they
each
had all
car,
kinds of different-
is each car loaded with some kind of supplies that are
Not-
necessary?
Not all of, was each car loaded with supplies? No, each car was not loaded, like ours was not loaded with supplies. They get donations in Scotland and Ireland and have them shipped over and then pack the cars with them.
Okay.
Medical, the biggest problem that we had was, we had a portable MRI unit that was in one of the vehicles, and it took over an hour to get it through the border. And the reason being is that they wanted to break it up into 2 pieces. They're worried about it being sold on the black market. So we had to have documentation of not only where it came from, but who it was going to go to. Because that's what they have. They have a huge problem with the black market in Ukraine. Stuff gets sold all over the place. All right. So again, they had another banquet for us in Kolomia. This was pretty posh. This was pretty snazzy, actually. And let's see if I can do this. We're all enjoying the music. So some of the music, you can see the folk music has a Middle Eastern kind of swing to it. Yeah. All right, so after that banquet that evening, everybody boarded a bus to go back to Lviv. And this is where I cut bait from these people. And I went into Kolomia, got a hotel room by myself. And this is just me wandering around the market in Kolomia where I started taking pictures. This is a common, we call it a yashenka. You wear it in festive events. You'll see them at parties and different things that Ukrainians wear. It's pretty common. Again, everybody asked me about what did you stay in when you were there? Okay, so this is my hotel room. It's $20 a night hotel room. Yeah. So the hryvnia is the currency in Ukraine. It's currently 41 hryvnia to $1. So when something, 500 hryvnia, divide that by 40. So a latte costs 100 hryvnia. So you divide it by 40, it's like $2. It's good. Okay, so one of the things in Kolomia is the world famous, you didn't know about this, the world famous egg museum. So they have Easter eggs, but it's Easter eggs on steroids. It's called a Pysanka, and if you translate Pysanka into English, you get mosaic. And this is a museum that they built for all of the Easter eggs from all over Ukraine. And I spent probably about 2 hours in this place. This place was fascinating. And they have different kinds of eggs that come from different parts of Ukraine, different oblasts. And that's what this quilt basically shows. It's really cool. So I had to go, after I got checked in my room and I went to the museum, I went wandering around trying to find a train station in Kolomia because I was going to have to go there. I was going to leave on the next day on a train. So I'm just walking around Kolomia, and again, you can stop in and light a candle. And I usually light a candle for myself because I can need all the help I can get when I'm there. All right, evidence of war. These are sandbags that are placed on the bottom floor of government buildings. So what happens is when the Shaheeds hit a building, they have a delay on them. It goes into the building and blows out the inside. And what they found out is that people are killed by the blast on the bottom floor blowing out in cars or walking by. So that's what these sandbags are for. They try to keep people safe. And then that's a close-up of one of the sandbags. More memorials. So all of this is right in Kolomia, and the candles that are lit there. Okay, so that was just a really cool bakery that I thought, I was hungry. I was taking pictures. Okay, this is a military recruitment poster. What it says, it is for the 10th Mountain Division of Ukraine in Kolomia. This is Edelweiss. It's called the Edelweiss Division. This is Portal to War. And then this is Malinia Boho on the line of fire, is what that says. And you can see the kind of depiction that they're kind of trying to recruit people to join the Ukrainian military.
Not very enticing.
I know. Well, I hear you. I hear you. But this is what's happening to your country. You need to be a part of it, right? I saw it too. So while I'm walking down the train station, this is very much like the apartment building that got blasted, whoops, hold on, that got blasted in Dnipro. These apartment buildings are generally owned for life. Once your family owns one, you have it for life. And you see different people making different modifications to them. And no, they're not pretty. They were built during the Soviet era, generally 9 stories tall. They're large apartment buildings. But this is the part that the tour that we were taking was kind of shields you from. And that's why I wanted to get away from that group so you could see the real Ukraine, which is, it's not always pretty. So finally, I made it to the train station. Here's the beautiful Soviet-built train station in Kolomia. And they all have these beautiful rotundas, and they have a huge heating vent in the center of them to heat them all. And this is Soviet architecture. This is the beautiful side of what the Soviet Union did. They made train stations, and everybody had a train station, and they made them all the same. All right, so this is how you pronounce that, is Rozklad. And this is the train schedule that I had to look at and try to, right, am I gonna, how well do you think you know Ukrainian, right? So basically, this is the train numbers and when they depart and then where they go to, and then this is the times. Funny thing is that I had to bounce this against the Ukrainian app on my phone. So just like in America, they have apps for everything. And so I had my train ticket on my phone, and I had to make sure that that schedule lined up with what I had, because you trust nothing in Ukraine, or I didn't trust anything in Ukraine. I had to figure it out. All right, so now this is the next morning. I had to go back to the train station. Now I knew where it was. And then this is the train to Chervisty. And funny enough, they have the shelters. Every train station has a shelter, and it's in English. So again, where am I going? I'm going down from Kolomia, which is not on the map, down to Chervisty right here. And again, this is Chervisty. Now this map actually has Kolomia. There's Kolomia. That took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. The train left at 5 o'clock in the morning. So again, look, it's another train station. It's actually a different train station than Chervisty. It looks remarkably the same. And then this is the beautiful Pluscha, the town square. Again, here's the town hall, there's the tower. That's in Chervisty. Okay. So again, the town hall with its beautiful tower, and then there's this guy. His name is Tavares Yevchenko, and he is the Mark Twain of Ukraine. He lived 1812 to 1861. He passed away right before our Civil War. He was a poet, a writer, an activist. What else did he do? He did it all. And every Ukrainian child has to know him up, down, and backwards. There are many monuments to him. They have to study him. There are writings. You can actually, there's a whole museum dedicated to him in another city that's north of there. He's the man who put the idea of Ukraine being a solo entity, a country on the map. He's the guy who wrote about it. And I was freezing when I got to Chervisty, and they were having morning mass. And the church was very warm. I walked in, and I just sat down, and I'm like, this is a beautiful church, and I'm gonna get warmed up here. Okay, this is really cool. So, if you're a fan of James Bond movies from the 1960s, particularly From Russia with Love, this is a Lada, and they were made in the Soviet Union. And you only see them in the Soviet Union or former Soviet Union republics. And you won't see this in Poland. They don't have them anymore in Poland, but you'll see these. You actually see them quite a lot. They're poorly built cars, but they're well maintained for some reason. You see them all.
Did they have like cardboard body parts in some places?
They Ukraine has actually taken them and improved them. So you can get a part from a Lada at Home Depot in Ukraine. It's kind of amazing. It's very common, and you can take it apart with a couple wrenches. It's an amazing car. So I had signed up for a tour in Chernivtsi to go see a bunch of castles. So the tour office, I couldn't pay for it online, so I had to go to the post office where the tour office was. And I was so impressed with this post office. This is a post office in Chernivtsi, and it's written in English, Universal Post Union. I was amazed with this post office.
Was
And
it
again, this
also
might-
from the Soviet era?
Pardon me?
The post offices, are they all the same in every town? maybe?
Yeah, all of them are from the same, so the question is, are all the post offices the same? Yes, they are too. They usually have this beautiful chandeliers and,
Was there any pre-World War II stuff around, or like, is that all kind of,
Was
kind
there
of
any?
destroyed?
pre-World War II stuff, I didn't see any. I did not see any. Again, my accommodations, and everyone asks, it was an Airbnb, and it had an Asian theme to it. Go figure. It was really nice too. So I'm wandering around Chernivtsi. Is there a question? No? And you know, we had to export KFC there. We had these beautiful pictures on the side of the building. All right, so why did I go to Chernivtsi to begin with? I went there to see the Hogwarts of Ukraine. This is the National University of Ukraine. It is a very prestigious university. It was built back in the 1820s. It is Baroque and Byzantine style. And you can see that if you're a fan of Harry Potter, it looks exactly like Hogwarts. Kind of crazy architecture. And that's the interior. And if you've seen the Harry Potter, that's what it looks like. It's amazing. And after I came out of the university that morning, walking down the street, I ran into a couple getting married. And they were so happy, I could take their picture and everything. They were like, please take our picture, where are you from, and everything. And it was wonderful. I just happened to walk by them. It was great. All right. Don't know what that is, you can take a wild guess. So yeah, that was an air raid. So I went out looking at 3 a.m. for an air raid shelter. I did find one. It was locked. And there was a girl and her daughter there waiting to get in. And I asked them, do they ever open it up? And she said, maybe. She just looked at me and said, "Możliwe," which means maybe. I'm like, great. So literally, we listened to the air raid siren, and we waited for about another 10 minutes, and then I went back to my room. But I did go look for a shelter. So, my tour trip to go see castles got canceled. And the lady in the tourism office was like, well, we have another tour, a tour of churches. And I was like, yay. Because you just can't get enough churches in Ukraine. So I really hadn't planned anything other than that tour. So this was an all-day tour. It cost me 750 hryvnia. If you do the math on that, that's about $18. So I went on a tour of churches.
That include transportation and guide and everything?
Yeah, they had a guide, they had a van, they had like a huge, it was about me and about 20 grandmas.
Wow.
It was great, it was fantastic.
Did you get lunch out of it?
I did actually get lunch out of it, it was good.
It's a deal.
So The older churches are always made of wood, and this is the interior of one of the older wooden churches. They all go back to like the 1300s, the 1400s. And the cities or the towns have been, rise up around them. So this is actually the residential area, and they took us to this church. And this is one of the cathedrals here. And I had a picture of the priest in there with his tummy. And
Is the church, is it Ukrainian Orthodox or Russian Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox?
so you are late to the party, my friend. We went over this earlier. So we have three forms of Catholicism: Roman Catholic, Ukrainian Catholic, Orthodox Catholic, and Russian Orthodox. And they must have been in a war to build churches against one another because they all won. This is interesting in this older church. So here he is, the big guy, Christ, and he's, he is the Alpha and the Omega. There he is right there. Now, what's odd about him is that he is in the depiction of a king. Now, we don't have Christ as depicted as a king in America, do we? We don't like kings in America, last I checked. So that's something in these older churches, you'll see different iconography of Christianity that you don't normally see in America. And that's a good example of what you see. All right. Before I start this, so Saturday night, my last night in Chernivtsi, and I'm just on a street, and the street is full of young people. There's lots of stuff going on. Something mildly inappropriate happens. See if you can catch it. You see the lighting up there, right? There's no street lamps. They have those lights come down from down onto the street. It's a girl. Youth is alive and well in you. Saturday night, Chernivtsi. It's almost.
So can I assume that this city hasn't been bombed at all, or?
This city has been bombed. The city has been, well, the air raid siren from the night before, I was in the city.
And there was a bomb.
There was a bombing, yes. There was a bombing outside the city. They tried to hit the power station outside the city. So every cafe in the city or in Ukrainian cities has a huge power port on the front of it. And you'll see that like during a power outage, they literally plug in their generator, turn it on, and switch it over. They developed a really good level of resiliency for power outages because of the war. It's amazing. So the next day, I boarded the train again, and now I'm going back to Lviv. And that's going over the Prat River there. Okay, this is the Vokzal, or the train station in Lviv. And there's that beautiful rotunda the Soviets are so famous for. This is a much larger station. This is one of the largest stations in Ukraine, and it's just gorgeous the way it's built. And this is Lviv, and this is there's that Rathaus, there's the town hall with the tower again, and this is just on the street, Lviv. All right, so they have fundraisers, and you'll see in the beginning of this video, there's a flag with a box in the front of it. That's where they're taking fundraising for the armed forces of Ukraine. I believe it is a song about the springtime in Ukraine. There's a landing that they're talking about. And you see the joy in their faces, right? It's a good song, they're having a good time. These are generally the grandparents or the parents of soldiers, and they're getting money. They just go out every Saturday, every Sunday, and they sing, and they get money. It works. All right, more pictures of Lviv, beautiful city. About Lviv, it was never bombed during any of the wars. The Napoleonic War, it missed the Napoleonic War. During World War I, it was not bombed. It was actually the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It was one of their cities that was never destroyed. It was invaded by the Germans during World War II, but the Soviets were able to pull them out of there so quickly that they weren't able to blow up the city. So it's an intact city. It is a gorgeous gem of a city in Ukraine. And again, here we are. There's another church that's outside of Lviv. This is in Lviv proper. There's our buddy Tazar Shevchenko. He's everywhere. And then that's a view from the top of the tower. And that is exactly what it looks like. There's the cathedral and all the churches. It's just a gorgeous city.
But has it been bombed now?
It was bombed on October 3rd, the day before that I got there. So I was there October 4th. It was bombed the night before. And they bombed, again, the infrastructure outside. They were trying to turn off the power again. I did ask permission of this guy to take his picture. It's a Ukrainian soldier. And again, more pictures of Lviv. Okay, so the tradition before you leave Lviv is to visit the Field of Mars. Field of Mars is the military cemetery in Ukraine. The reason why it's called Field of Mars is it's a Latin term, Campus Martinis, from the Romans. Cemeteries are named after the Roman god of Mars, so it retains the name Field of Mars. This group here was in a Ukrainian helicopter. They're paying their respects to the pilot that died. He was shot, but he was able to land the helicopter safely before he died. All right, so the next day, I left again on the train. This says basically, Bas Vitayo, it says goodbye to all. You're leaving the Oblast of Lviv and back on the train, and then back to Krakow, and on to Frankfurt, and then back to Philadelphia. Any questions? I have a question.
It strikes me that it's beautiful, as most of the countries in Europe and where
It's
the old,
gorgeous.
yeah, and that is, it's part of Russian heritage.
It is.
And so I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if you have a thought, or if you have any, whatever. If I was, why are they destroying all these beautiful old buildings?
That is a
It's, I mean,
complex question.
it's part of the heritage and the history
Right.
for all the people.
Right. So, that's a difficult question.
I knew it was, I'm sorry.
Russia wants to take Ukraine away from Ukrainians.
Right,
is
and they
the-
want
is the
the
short-
access to
is the
the-
short answer. And Ukraine has had a love-hate relationship with Russia their whole existence. And now they want to be an independent nation. And they actually were an independent nation right after World War I for about a year. And then Russia actually took them back over. And the idea of an independent Ukraine has been around for about 200 years. And now, finally, after the fall of the Soviet Union, and really after the Maidan it's called the, let's see if I can remember it, it's called the Maidan protests. Basically, that's when in 2014, where they basically ousted Yushchenko, I can't remember his name, the president, the Soviet-led president of Ukraine, and that's when they had democratic voting, and that's when Zelensky took power and everything else. But it's always been a dream to have a united, independent country of
Right.
Ukraine.
So Greg, your
Yes.
first trip was not with Jeeps, your first trip that you went there was on your own,
So,
correct?
yeah, the question is, was my first trip to Ukraine on my own?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. The reason it was on my own is that I couldn't convince anybody to go with me. They thought I was out of my mind, including my father at the time. So I got fed up and I said, I'm gonna go on my own and do it.
Wow.
So that was the big thing, is I didn't know whether I was gonna be able to get through the border or not. That was the thing. The border guard asked me, in Ukrainian, what I was doing what I wanted to do in Ukraine. And I answered her, "Что допоможете," which means I want to help. And she, and then she stamped the passport and let me through. And I'm like, okay, that's how
where
you
did
get through the border.
Where did you go? How did you figure out how to help?
Well, there was a website called Visit Ukraine, believe it or not. And there were other websites about, in Lviv, there are a lot of volunteer organizations. And I just picked one that I said, I'm gonna volunteer. And actually, I have some pictures from that time.
Is your family Ukrainian?
No,
You missed
let me
the-
tell
missed
you
the
about,
beginning.
my Russian experience when I was in the Navy. So on my first trip, I made camouflage netting with a bunch of grandmothers in a library. That's what I volunteered as. There's a bunch of grandmothers, and then you go in there and they teach you how to make camouflage netting. It was great. And then they offer you a shot of vodka at the end of the day. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. some of the other questions I get, let me see.
Aside from the night that, of the siren, which I'm sure that got your attention, but did you feel any fear, especially when you were driving in the convoy or something like that?
No, not in the convoy. In Ukraine, so the question was, did I feel any fear when I was in Ukraine driving around? No, well, I controlled it. In driving around in Ukraine is an experience. They are outright crazy drivers. They drive on the left-hand side, they drive on the right-hand side, they drive all over the place. The roads are horrible. I wish that they took some of the money from building churches and put them into the roads, but they don't. So it was a character building experience.
But as far as, you know, Russians bombing some of the cars or anything like that, it doesn't happen?
No. Well, the first time I was in Ukraine, one of the prime ministers of the Verkhovna Rada, which is the governing body that's like their Congress, was assassinated one block over from where I was staying, and in Lviv. Yeah, so
And
that
Greg,
was.
tell them about the river. That was so important to me when I heard you the first time. How most of the terrible stuff that you see is on that other side of the river, right?
Okay, so while I have this up real quick,
Yeah.
this is generally what happens every night with the Shahid bombings. This is Chervisty, this is Lviv. So if we look at it from a risk management standpoint, I stayed over in this area. Now they do bomb this area, but not as much as this area. And then these are the occupied areas right here. So what Lindy is talking about, let me see if I can go up a little, back to the map of Ukraine real quick. There we go. Okay, so let's see. So here is the Dnipro River, and it runs down through Ukraine, just like our Mississippi River. And on this part, this was actually occupied at one point, and they actually fly their drones over here, and they do what's called a human safari. Anybody who is in a car or out walking around, the drone will kill them. Doesn't matter, military, non-military, they will be killed. It's just,
And that the eastern part
yes.
is where all the devastation is.
Right.
Because of the occupy, and they keep pushing that line and pushing that line to try and get further and further. So that's where this, Greg's gonna tell you about the Ukrainian trust chain. That's where they work.
Right.
Where all the bombing is, and they have, you know, he's talking about they plug in the things right away over there in the big cities. Well, over there, it's the farm country. It's that, and they don't have those things to plug into, and they have no, so it has to run by gas. They bring, the Ukraine Trust Chain brings the gas in, they fill them up
Right.
once a week, and then that's the only way they have power for their cell phones. They have no light, no heat, nothing.
So interestingly enough, there's an app. Ukrainians are great for apps. They have an app that I have on my phone. It's called, I'll see if I can pronounce it correctly, Svitlo, which literally means light. And you can go on that app, you plug in your address, where you are in Ukraine, and then it tells you the power schedule for that address. It says, okay, you're gonna lose from what time to what time today you'll have no power, and then in the evening you'll have power, and then it gives you every day of the week what time they don't have power. And this is where something that, like in Russia, where they, you know, Ukraine is bombing power plants in Russia. Russia doesn't have that. They don't have little apps that tell you when the power is coming out. They don't have, you know, sockets on the side of their cafes for hooking up generators. And that's why hitting them with their power or against their power stations is much more devastating to them than it is Ukrainians. Ukrainians have been living through this for the last 3 or 4 years, and they are good and they are resilient at having power intermittently. Russians are not.
Greg, what is the future of the vehicles you delivered? What would they be used for?
They'll be used for medical evacuation. And to get people basically, food, water, anything they can to the front lines. And they always get hit by drones and they get destroyed within a couple weeks. And that's why every week, or I'm sorry, every 3 months, they have to deliver new supplies or new vehicles, sorry. We didn't talk about this guy. This guy here, his name is Stuart Ford, and he is the founder of Jeeps for Peace. And he's an industrialist from Edinburgh, and he got tired of watching it happen every night, and he formulated this whole group. And every 3 months, he takes cars to Ukraine. What else did I show you guys? So, okay, that's about, oh, here. Where to donate. So these are the ones that I'm familiar with. United 24 is President Zelensky's effort for charity. Is obviously Jeeps for Peace, and then Ukraine Trust Train, which we have here, representative of. You can donate to any one of these. They're all good organizations, and there are many other good organizations you can donate to, believe it or not.
And are you planning to do it again?
I need to get better at Ukrainian. I need to seriously get a tutor and start being able to think in Ukrainian. I had many discussions with a lot of people, and I realized that I could have had better discussions if my Ukrainian was better. But a lot of people, well, the younger people do speak English. So I had discussions with a lot of young people.
I've seen those young people on the street. Are they being drafted?
No. So here's the funny thing about the draft age in Ukraine. The draft age is actually higher. It's like 25, 26, I think now. Don't quote me on that. The reason being is they want those kids to have kids. They want them to get married. The average age for a person that gets married in Ukraine is like 18, 19. They get married early. And they want those kids to have kids first. And then they get a little older and then they'll draft them. But it is the drafting of people it's an issue. They have some people have left Ukraine because of it. So it's the same. Every country that goes to war has issues with that. We did in World War II and so forth. Any other questions? None?
I wanted to say about Odessa, that's over in the other part. There's a train station there, I'm sure it looks like all those ones you showed, and they serve lunch every single day. And they serve like 700 people a day when they have power. And it's crazy when they have power and when they don't. And one of the newsletters, which I want you guys to sign up for a newsletter from Ukraine Trust Chain to see what these people can do. I have pictures of the volunteers over here. The neighbors of the train station have now offered their kitchens so that the lunch doesn't have to stop, because these people depend on this every day, and if they don't have power, they can't cook. This borscht, the soup thing, that's very important.
It's really good.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
And if you want more information, sign up there, and I will make sure you get it. Craig will get it to me, and I'll get it to you, but don't forget to stop by the table over there, and we thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.